After 14 games having things our own way, one loss was always going to be tough to bounce back from.
Again, it's Tom Peck, the captain, who tries to play a ball forward. Put out well by Kieran Wallace. Launches it long for Rhys Oates, and can Oates turn his man? He can. Rhys Oates is 1-on-1 with Ironstone. Here's Oates went for the scoring. Brownstone. Yeah! It's the back of the net. Rhys Oates opens the scoring for Mansfield Town. On 21 minutes, a ball over the top by Kieran Wallace. Oates kept his composure. Stone came out. Oates knocked it around him and rolled it into the open goal. Port Vale 0, Mansfield Town 1.
Rhys Oates' strike at Port Vale gave us hope, but error after error after error saw Port Vale complete the comeback to run out 3-1 winners on Tuesday night and condemn the Stags to their second successive loss. It's a result which takes the Stags into 10th, but they have games in hand and only remain 4 points off of the playoffs and 6 off of the automatics. Not to mention the small fact of league leaders and fellow falterers Forest Green Rovers to play twice. But there's no point looking too far ahead or indeed dwelling on what's happened too much as we prepare for a home game against Stevenage and the return of the China via Peterborough deserter, a certain Steve Evans. Tonight we'll look back a tiny bit on Tuesday's failure at Vale, but focus more importantly on how to put things right as the Stags look to set a new home record of 11 straight Football League home victories for the first time since the 1940s. As always, we want you to get involved in the comments and have your say on your team. Is no win, no quin a thing? Who should come into the lineup on Saturday? Should Nigel Clough have changed things around a little bit earlier than he did? All of that stuff, anything you want to say, get it in the comments and have your say on your team. This is the show for the fans, by the fans, keeping the faith, win, lose or draw. Why? Well, quite simply, because Mansfield always matters. You know, it's funny, when you're on a winning run, I'm inundated with messages from the podcast crew saying, what time are we on, Craig? What time are we starting the show tonight? And then as soon as we start losing a few games, message seen but not responded to. Is it just me tonight, though? No, there is one man I can always rely on, and I say good evening to Mr. Accident-Prone Al, a.k.a. the best jingle singer in town. How are you, my friend?
All right, thank you, Craig. Good evening, Craig, and good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening, everybody, indeed. And a man who's called himself part-time podcaster, the man with the worst internet in town. He's back. Nathan Edge is back in the country. Hello, mate.
Evening. I'm back in the country. I'm here. I don't know how delayed I'll be, but I might still be 1 hour behind, but who cares?
Maybe that's just your brain, but there you go. Seemed pretty much in sync, though, to be fair, so maybe we're all good. Welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast, everyone. As always, this is a place for you to have your say on your team. Get it all out. Get it all out your system tonight so we can start afresh on Saturday at home to Big Steve's Stevenage, and that is a mouthful, especially unrehearsed. As always, come and have your say in the comments and let us know your thoughts on Tuesday night. And I suppose that's probably where we should start, Nathan Edge, isn't it? You know, 2 back-to-back defeats, Tranmere and then Port Vale. And like I sort of said to Cam in the car on the way back on Tuesday night, Port Vale was always going to be the harder of the 2 games, especially considering how we finished at Tranmere. It was almost like a little hangover. Anything above a point would have been fantastic there, but it's just a shame that we played probably the worst we've played since the Northampton game.
Yeah, I mean, I missed. I was in the air for the Tranmere game, so I don't really. So I missed the whole of that annoyingly. Well, I say annoyingly, probably fortunately, but you know, from what I can gather, we didn't play particularly well there either. But I got down to Port Vale Tuesday night, and we did seem a bit like a different side from before I left the country a couple of weeks ago. So, which is disappointing to see. But you know, we looked at the fixtures and we did know there were going to be some tough times ahead. We weren't going to carry on the winning streak we was on or unbeaten streak we was on. And I think if we managed to just hold on at Tranmere and come away with a point, it probably wouldn't have felt as bad. You know, because we wouldn't have had the back-to-back defeats. And you know, even though 1 point out of 6 still isn't fantastic, it still would have felt a little bit better in a sense that we wouldn't have had 2 defeats on the bounce. But we just seemed a bit tired. I'm sure we'll talk about the team selection, which I think raised a few eyebrows prior to the match. And unfortunately, the performance. I mean, after Reece Oates scored, I thought, have we just, done a hit and grab sort of situation, which we probably didn't necessarily deserve, but they were. Well, I won't say they were too good for the second half because they weren't that great, but we just never got going.
Yeah, we didn't get going. And I think, we were together on Friday night, Alan, not in that way. We were doing co-commentary together, of course, at Tranmere Rovers, just because Nathan said he was in the air. So I didn't know if he knew or not, just getting that out there. And the one thing we said at the end of the game was it's going to be very, very difficult for us to bounce back. And I think had we had a game, had we not had the Tuesday night game and the next game would have been Stevenage, I wouldn't have had as many fears. But driving to Port Vale, I felt that it was going to be an uphill battle for us on the night because, like Nigel Clough said on Friday night, it's such a difficult mindset to go back into after you've had it your own way for so long. It's that shock to the system. It is that hangover. It is that sort of slap in the face, which is some unexpected slap in the face. It's hard to deal with.
I would agree with that, Craig. But also, if you've trawled through a lot of social media, a lot of people have been saying exactly the same thing. It's the way we lost, not particularly because we lost. It's the way we lost because Tuesday night there didn't seem to be any direction. It was hoofball a lot of the time, and I don't know whether it's Port Vale and maybe Tranmere to a certain extent have seen how we play and worked out accordingly how to stop us doing that. But we just looked out of balance. We didn't seem to have any idea. It wasn't like the Mansfield that we know and love. But admitted, you can't play passing football every time because the team's not going to let you do that. But when I saw the team picked, it's only my humble opinion, but I just didn't think there was enough balance in the team, and I think it could have been tweaked a little bit.
Yeah, we went too drastic the other way. I completely understand why Nigel Clough made the changes he made. I think at least two of them were enforced by injury. Had Stephen Quinn been available, he'd have started Stephen Quinn, and I think you can say the same for Lucas Akins, to be honest. But that's still inexcusable. I just don't think we got the balance right. He criticised the tackling on Friday night, so I understood why he brought Ollie Clark back in. I understood, why he started Lapsley. I understood why he started Kieran Wallace as well. I have to admit, when I saw the team selection, I had 4 or 5 formations written down, and the last formation I expected him to go with was the one that he started with, Nathan. That was a flat 4-4-2 with Lapsley, right wing, and then, sort of Murphy left wing, and then Wallace just in behind Reece Oates in a 4-4-1-1. I was expecting us to go through at the back and try and, go toe-to-toe with Port Vale and play exactly how they played.
Yeah, it was one of those before the match when you see the lineup, it could have gone a few ways, formation-wise, which is good in some ways because it makes you less predictable from the opposition's point of view, trying to predict what we're going to do. And we do have that versatility and within the team to mix it up a little bit and change it around. But like you said, I think it was, certainly would have been unexpected for Port Vale, but I think it was unexpected from our point of view as well, wasn't it, supporters? Because it was, you probably might have said, of that 11 that was put out there, yes, there were a couple that you'd say was enforced, probably throwing Longstaff in there as well. So you've got 2 or 3 that are enforced, but still with those players that were on the pitch, you think we should have had enough to do better than what we did. And we could have probably set up in a different way. And in particular, I really thought we'd come out in the second half in a different setup, very differently. For me, highlighting one in particular is Hawkins. Although I understand why he's put back there, and I was a little bit relieved after seeing the starting lineup. I did think, is he putting Wallace back there? What's the plan? So I was like, well, at least Hawkins is back there. That's sort of a positive in a sense. But a second thought was, as soon as people got a yellow card, which he's been doing a lot of late, getting them early bookings, you then tread on eggshells for the rest of the game. So I think he needed to go up top a lot earlier.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that. I'm going to talk you through what I've got written down on my clipboard, Nate, but I'm going to show the camera the clipboard from the game before the game on Tuesday night. As you can see there's one formation, then go into another formation, and then another, and then another, and then the actual one we started with is over there somewhere. So I was going through it and thinking, well, we can play this way, we can play that way. And the one I'd sort of settled on was, like I said, was going three at the back, which would have made more sense because it would have got Hawkins up top. And that was Bishop in goal, a back three, which we did finish with, to be fair, almost very, very similar, was of Perch, Rawson and Wallace, with Lapsley one fullback one side, McLaughlin the fullback the other side, the wing back, and then Clark and Sturck sort of sitting in the midfield with Murphy just ahead to sort of create that little bit of a triangle diamond, if you like, with Hawkins playing off Oates in a 3-4-1-2. But for whatever reason, we went with what we went with. So it just shows that we've got that adaptability there, but I don't quite think we got the balance right. Let's delve into some of your guys' comments. If you've got anything to say on Tuesday on how we should line up on Saturday or anything other Stags related, make sure you get involved in the comments, and we'll do our best to read some of them out. A reminder that we may skip some of them if they're similar comments. Ellen has kicked us off tonight and says Stevenage at home is almost a perfect game to bounce back, especially with a certain Scotsman in the opposing dugout. We'll talk about that more later on. Chris says, I'm watching a documentary on Fort William FC and our fans reckon we have problems. Mark says, evening. Tim says, Tuesday was very disappointing. We didn't gel. Not sure why Clough didn't start with John Joe at the back and Ollie Hawkins up front. Bad choice. Roy says, absolutely awful. Why has he changed the side that looked unbeatable? This is the pressure is now on. I hope we can stick it up. Evans. Chris adds too many overhit passes and players not reading the game like they usually do. Ellen adds, Wallace had a brilliant game, even if the team as a whole struggled. Tim says, just because Clough criticised the tackling didn't mean we needed to get 3 yellow cards in the first half. The ref was inconsistent. And Roy says, how Murphy gets in the side while Bowery sits on the bench, the mind boggles. Let's delve into that a little bit, Alan, because one thing I have seen sort of crop up over and over again on social media, and I'm going to call it the Greg Abbott transfer window effect. Long-time listeners will know what I'm talking about. Of course, when we made all the signings in the January transfer window under Dave, and all of a sudden we went from this excellent side, which was doing really, really well, to one which started to struggle and didn't look like it was gelling because we were putting the new faces in. People on social media have been commenting about, the new faces starting, the likes of Jamie Murphy, the likes of Lucas Akins, and asking, is it unbalancing the side? And for me, it's a bit of a toss-up because Clough himself, Alan, has admitted that Murphy is perhaps not where he needs to be. But these players were brought in for a reason, and that is to add quality. And it's only by virtue of the fact that we've lost a couple of games why these questions are starting to be asked, because you lose games and you just point to the nearest incident which could have changed it.
That's right, Craig. It's fine margins, isn't it? Because if it had all gone swimmingly on Tuesday night, we wouldn't have had anything to say, even though we've all got his own opinion. But I do feel quite sorry for Jordan Bowery, because I think he proved it himself. He got the player of the month, for whatever it was last month. He'd been playing really well up till then. And then he's like sidelined now. So when he came on again on Tuesday night, he had 10, 15 minutes, was it? Probably 10. And, he can't get into the game so much as he normally would from the start, because he's been producing really good performances. So I can understand where people are coming from, and I can understand the flip side of what Nigel's saying. But with Longstaff's proved his worth because he's scored 3 goals. He might not have started off absolutely brilliantly, but he knows where the net is, and he's found it 3 times, which is like Lapsley did last year, and he's starting to come back a little bit fitter now, although I think it was Stone who got a fingertip to Lapsley's effort on Tuesday night. I think he actually got fingertips to that, or from what I saw. But to go back to your original point, tinkering with the side doesn't always work. When it does, we don't we've got nothing to moan about. But when it doesn't, everybody's concerns are there for all to see.
What's your take on it, Nath? Because for me, I'm in two minds. I think there are certain players that probably shouldn't have been dropped out of the side, but on the flip side of that, I can totally understand why they were, because there's no point bringing players with the quality of, Jamie Murphy, Lucas Akins. I keep using those two as examples, but they're the two on the tip of the tongue. There's no point bringing that quality in if you're not going to utilise it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel a little bit for Akins because he's predominantly a striker and he's played there once, so we've had to use him. I know they've said he's always been a utility player and we can use him, but we had him at left back at Bristol Rovers where he had an absolutely awful game, and most of the other times he's been playing sort of right back, hasn't he? So that's it's a bit harsh on him. That's obviously not his favourite position. We're asking him to do a job, and it's not the easiest thing to do in a new team. Jamie Murphy, I think he's shown promise. It shows glimpses that he's a good player, but as Clough has alluded to, he's just a little bit sort of off the pace at the minute. So, do we allow him time to? It's hard. Do you allow him time to get up to pace before he comes back? Starts games, or is that the only way you're going to get him up to pace? So, it's a tough one. I don't think it's. It's hard to say because it's early on, but I don't think it's as severe as the Greg Abbott effect as such. I don't
Definitely
think it's not going to be a dramatically terrible transfer window at all. I just think you got to look at the bigger picture. We've played. You look at the last sort of 4, 5, 6 games. The caliber of teams we've had to come up against has been higher. We've had to do a lot of them away as well. But you look at it just two games ago. We beat Exeter on a Friday night. Superb performance, fantastic atmosphere. We're up to third. 2 games later, Tranmere, put the performance aside, was unlucky to lose last minute. And then obviously the poor performance at Port Vale. Now we're sat at 10th, but it can very quickly change back. And I just think, a lot of the reaction is a bit over the top by some of the supporters, but it always seems to be the case whenever we lose some games. But I'm not a happy clapper as such, but I'm grateful to at least even be in a position where we are now to say where we were a few months ago.
Yeah, and I'll highlight this point as my mate Lee Wilson says in the comments, don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Absolutely spot on. And like I was saying, I'm not having a dig at these two here, but on the way back from Port Vale, for a while, I had Cam in the car and I had a friend of the show, Adrian, with us as well. And for a while, it felt like we'd literally been spanked 14-0 and Clough had been caught with his winky out in the centre circle, waving it about doing windmills. It was not as bad as that for a start. It was it's season over. No, it's not. We had to hit a divot at some point. We had to hit a bit of poor form, a patchy form at some point, because it's a natural part of football. And when you look back and when you compare and when you sit down and analyse it, we're where we are on the table, 10th, but we're 4 points off the playoffs, we're 6 points off the automatics, we've got games in hand over everybody under the sun, and I would much rather have a dip in form with 12 games to go to allow ourselves time to regroup and find another bit of form and momentum towards that back end of the season, because as we know, the side who has momentum towards the back end always seems to finish strongly and be successful, than the wheels continue to stay on until 3 or 4 games left when we're 20-22 unbeaten and then get beat, and then all of a sudden on the last day of the season at home to Forest Green Rovers need a point to get into the automatic promotion places, because we've all been there. It makes much more sense, Alan, doesn't it, to look at it and go, this is if there's any time to have a negative run, to have a bad couple of games, there is no better time than now.
Yeah, because we knew it, like you said before, we knew it was going to happen somewhere along the line. And it doesn't help when you've got all these away matches, to follow each other with not many home matches in between. But to be fair to Mansfield, obviously we've won the home matches to get ourselves get ourselves in that position in the first place. And you don't notice these things until you lose, such as the Murphy not having a particularly good game, or excuse me, or Lapsley, over hitting the ball each time. You don't really notice it until we lose, because when Jamie Murphy came on the very first game, I thought he had a reasonable game. He looked lively, he looked bright. Admitted he tied in the end, and he told Clough that he wanted to come off. But I certainly don't panic. I mean, at the end of the day, what will be will be. Will be where we finish. But I still think we've got a damn good chance of going up and in the automatics. But we've just got to start getting back to basics and put George Maris in where he belongs.
Yeah, I think Alan's got a good point there, Nath, hasn't he? Getting players like Maris and Lapsley back in there. I felt Lapsley played really, really well, actually, on Tuesday. Out of position, let's say, playing as a right winger. I thought he did relatively well. And I think, he's going to be key to us towards the back end of the season. And another player in there is James Purchett. I don't want to sit and dwell on the negatives. I want to get it all out of the system, of course. And I want to, by the end of this show tonight, I want to be, jumping positive, looking forward to Saturday and getting back on track. But I am going to there are positives to pick out of the game. Yes, we got beat 3-1. We were poor in pretty much every area, bar for a spell of maybe let's see if I can get the maths right on this. O'Toole comes on 55 minutes. Hawkins goes up front. They don't score till 75. We had 20 minutes where we were
20.
I was getting there, son. I was getting there. I'll sub you back out for your wife. She was much better in the conversation before you when we started this on. For 20 minutes, we were the better team. We were all over Port Vale. George Lapsley scores that goal. Aidan Stone doesn't make that good save, which we knew he had in him, and he was bound to have in him against his former club and the manager who released him. We're 2-1 up in front of our own fans, and we probably turn Port Vale over 4-1. It's a different game. Fine margins. Fine margins. But the other positive for me, other than O'Toole coming back in and Hawkins going up front, which obviously sparked the game, was the reintroduction, Nath, of James Perch, his first start since his injury. Yes, he's had a couple of cameo appearances and has played in the under-23s to get him back fit. But Clough said to me after Friday, and he said on Monday in his press as well, that he'll bring that calmness. And I said this to Cam and Adrian, and they took it far too literally. Do you understand what Clough meant by adding the calmness to the game? Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes,
go on then, Alan.
Oh, yeah, he is.
You clearly don't, Nate. You clearly don't.
He is calm on the ball. He's got experience. When he was centre half, you don't need the speed at 35, 36 if he's got it up here as a footballing brain. I thought he had, I would say I'd say a 6 out of 10 performance on Tuesday night. There were 2 tackles that he made mostly early on that was near the byline, and he just slid straight out. We're watching an eye follow, slid straight in to kick the ball out. And I thought, he's looking quite good here, but he did get caught out a couple of times, So, I mean, he is rusty, isn't he? He's only played a full 90 minutes. So fair play to Perchy for actually coming back, because we thought we'd lost him for the season.
And as well, he played, and sorry to cut you off, and as well, he played right back. He wasn't playing centre half.
That's what I think was the mistake, though, with Tuesday night. If you're going to start him, which, like Alan said there, he's obviously going to be rusty, which is absolutely understandable. He's not played sort of started games at that competitive level. Obviously, they did on in 23's game, but if you're going to start him, I don't think right back was the right position for him. I think he needed to be in that centre. I know apparently Hewitt wanted a rest, but I think he could have at least had 60 minutes in him, surely, and then maybe Perch come on for him, or a different type of shuffle. Like you say, the 3 at the back would have worked better. That's the only thing about it. I think that's why Perch probably only had a 6 rather than a solid 7, like you probably expect from him, is because he had to play right back where he's rusty. And I think even Perch at his best, sort of, last season, or very early this season, we've always said he can do a job right back, but he's better centre back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the criticism. If I am going to have any criticism at all, I think tactically we got it wrong for another game running. But I think, we do understand that. And I think reading between the lines as well from some of Clough's comments over the last couple of games post-match, it's very much been about, we need to utilise the squad and the options we've got available to us, which to me says, we're not going to play a set way every single week. And actually, you saw that, and it typified it in the goal we scored, actually, because we played direct. We got, we didn't have players, and I mean this in the greatest respect to those players that started the game. We didn't have players on the pitch on Tuesday night that started the game that could do the fancy football. We had players who could do the ugly side, and we dinked one over the top because they played 3 centre halves and 2 the right side centre half, left side centre half. Both pushed high and ended up playing as wingers, and they got too cocky. We dinked one over the top, and they got caught, and Oates did what Oates does best, and it was effective. And it's just unfortunate that we went and conceded and what have you. But it's just little tactical tweaks, and I think we'll definitely start to see, that changing over the course of the next 12 games or so. Let's delve back into some of these comments. Lots of you flooding them in again. Apologies if I skipped yours. We will be sort of missing out ones which are repetitive. Chris says Evans will be expecting loving a hostile reception on Saturday. Let's try and not make it about him. Let's get fully behind the best manager in League Two and his team. Let's greet him with Nigel Clough's yellow and blue army and then boo the oath at the end when we have won. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk more about Evans' return later on. He also adds, everyone in League Two is in the position that their performances deserve, including the great run Stags have been on. The top 10 is wide open. On to Tuesday night. There were far too many overhit passes or players not reading them like they usually do. We're in a great position. We're in a great position with the big boys to come to ours. We don't have the divine right to go up, but we do have the squad to achieve promotion. Come on, you Stags. And I'd also add on to the back end of that, Alan, we've got the squad and character within that squad to go and deserve to achieve promotion.
Definitely, Craig. I love the squad that we've got, and I think Nigel will get it right in the end. We've had 2 little blips, but I mean, you're bound to get them in any walk of life. You'll get a blip, and I think you might see a different team again on Saturday because, like one of the people said in the comments earlier on, I think it's the perfect time to play Stevenage at home, get the crowd really roaring again, get the goals going in and get us confidence up for away at Rochdale at Spotlands on Tuesday night.
Roger says, if people think we're going to win every game in the league, they're sadly mistaken, but the keyboard warriors soon came out. Yes, they did. Gary says, last 2 games were disappointing, but Alan is right. Fine margins, goalkeeping error, a sitter missed, and a mix-up at the back. Stone produces a first-class save, we lose. Our luck ended, but it will return. Yeah, and sometimes you've got to... You've got to earn your own luck as well. He also adds, we've got to thank our lucky stars at the minute. Last October we was going down, but we've turned it around. Yeah, absolutely. You always forget about that position we were once in. Gary, unlucky at Tranmere. But if we'd have drawn at Bradford, drawn at Tranmere and drawn at Port Vale, we would have had the same 3 points we took from Bradford. Spot on. It's a good way of looking at it, I suppose. Alistair says, as well as the game in hand, if you look at the teams and fixtures till the end of the season, there are a lot of the top 10 sides playing each other. It's not over yet by a long shot. Come on, you Stags. And Roger adds, Stags are well and truly still in it. One thing for me, which is going to be important, Alan, is the input of the Stag supporters who, as we know, are always a fine bunch. Back at One Call Stadium on Saturday, there's been a lot of talk about a certain Mr. Evans. We'll talk about him in a couple of minutes' time. But one thing I put to Nigel Clough post-match is the impact that the fans can have, because let's not forget, we are going for a club record 11th straight Football League home win on Saturday. And it's something that me and Nigel spoke about pitchside after the disappointing defeat at Port Vale. Let's have a little snippet of that interview then as Clough reflects on Port Vale and looks at the impact that the fans can have going into Saturday's home game with struggling Stevenage.
They just back us as they have done all season. Win, lose or draw, just hope the backers. I don't think there's any question of that. We've had a couple of rough days, rough matches now in the last four days. it's important we bounce back Saturday. You know, we went over 100 days without seeing your team lose, and we've lost twice in 4 days now, so it's an unusual feeling. Said on Friday it's an unpleasant one. Don't want to feel it too often between now and the end of the season, for us or for them.
How are the players feeling in the dressing room? I know you've just had a quick chat with them, and how do they harness that feeling to bounce back on Saturday afternoon?
Well, when we've gone so long unbeaten, it often happens when you do lose one. That was why it was such a sickener to lose on Friday night at Tranmere. You know, you might lose 2 on the spin. That's why it's important that they just clear the heads now, and we bounce back and we start again Saturday. That's all we can do. And we've got another 3 tough trips after that on the road. So, but we've got to win Saturday.
Yeah, and that game vitally important, as you say, you're looking to try and beat that club record of 11 consecutive league wins to set a new record. But how important is the fact that after 2 defeats on the road, we are back at home where the fans will be vocal and they'll support your side from minute 1 to minute 90?
Yeah, I think the away games just caught up with us a bit in the last few days, having so many of them. You know, in the period, we did really well in some of the away games to stay unbeaten. But when you come to such 2 tough places as we've been, to lose in the manner we did, 6 goals, we've got to get back to not conceding goals. That's what we did really well in the last 89 games prior to that, and we have to get back to that. But lovely to be back at home on Saturday. Looking forward to it.
And a couple of things to consider going into that one as well. And I think the main one...
Just a couple.
Yeah, well, understatement perhaps, but one of them will be Ollie Hawkins up top. We saw him at Tranmere sort of change the game for us. He did the same a little bit today, and you've got John Joe Toole back there as well. Is that something which you'll certainly look at in training this week?
Yeah, we look at everything and consider all our options. That's the one good thing about the squad we've got. Provides us with lots of options. Too many sometimes, if I'm honest. But 1 or 2 people had opportunities to come back into the team tonight. Ollie Clark came back in, George Lapsley came back in. Look, Kieran Wallace played well tonight in midfield. I thought he did really well. So pleased with his performance. And we said, with the run of games that we're having Saturday, Tuesday, people have to come in and they've got to be ready to come in for the odd game. Danny Johnson wasn't in the 18 on Saturday, got on the pitch tonight. So the whole squad, we keep telling them, the whole squad's going to play a part.
And another man that did tonight as well, so it's worth a mention for him, James Perch back in at right back tonight, his first game that he started since his injury as well. How's he come through and how's he faring out there? Because you said in your press on Monday that he'd had that little bit of calmness for us.
I thought he showed that right all the way throughout the game, even in the first few minutes, him just behind us here, he brought one down, and instead of just whacking it clear, he sort of plays it into midfield, and I think it was a major plus from the night getting him back on the pitch.
Stags boss Nigel Clough speaking to me after that 3-1 defeat at Port Vale on Tuesday night. Then if you want to watch more of that, a few of you have been messaging me saying, Craig, where's the video? It's not on the usual YouTube. It's not on the Mansfield Matters social media. No, it's on I Follow Stags, that one. The full interview with Nigel Clough on I Follow Stags, and of course the club's social media pages as well. So make sure you go and check it out on there. Also on the flip side of that, I had a few people say, Craig, you do know that they played 3 centre halves on Tuesday night? Yes, I'm well aware of that. It's all about the wording of the question. What I meant when I was talking about getting the 2 centre halves up the pitch is, like I was saying earlier in the podcast, that the right side centre half and the left side centre half pushed up as wing backs, leaving one back. But yes, I'm well aware of that. Anyway, let's move swiftly on. Welcome back, Nath. Is Oliver all right? I heard him crying.
Oh, could you hear him?
I knew that was where you'd gone.
I did realise that I left without turning the mic down. I was like, oh, whoops. Yeah, I just went out to sort out all the chaos. So, yeah, I'm back. And I agree with everything that Nigel said just there. No idea what he said, but yeah, I agree.
He said that it's all your fault, and because you left the country, you took the good luck with us and you've left it abroad. So you're going to have to go back overseas to bring it back again.
No, fair enough. If I need to go back to Morocco, I'll go back to Morocco just for you, Nigel.
Team player, absolute team player. Keep your comments coming in. We're going to talk team shape in a minute or so. But first, though, time to note, as we say, not a lot of time to dwell on things, because we are back on the road yet again, starting on Tuesday as we head to Rochdale, and then on Saturday, a trip to Oldham Athletic. So not as many miles next week, but then it follows it up with a trip to Hartlepool. So anyway, and then Forest Green the week. For sake. If you want to travel to Rochdale or Oldham, prices on the Stag Supporters Association coach are £15 for Amber and Junior members, £20 for Blue members, £25 for non-members. Departure from One Call Stadium for the Rochdale game is 3:30, and for Oldham it is 11 a.m. And the all-important number you need is
07967 689 597.
And that number again, if you missed it.
07967 689 597.
Again, it was on the screen. I could have read it myself, but I know he likes that little part in his in the show. So it's so there we go. Reader of the number, caller of all the bingo numbers and all of that, Mr. Alan Wilson, there as well. Right, let's delve in to looking ahead. Then we were talking a little bit earlier on about the importance of fans and the importance of bouncing back. And there's one thing, Nathan, which has sort of added a little bit of fire to the already simmering candle, and that is the return of, all right, son, I'm back.
I don't know what's worse, the fact that he's going to be back in the dugouts, or you're doing your impressions again. It just gets worse, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, it's going to make it a bit more of a spicy affair, isn't it? It's first time he's come back, isn't it? Since he did the old, the usual route to Peterborough via China. That's the quickest way, isn't it, these days? But no, hopefully he'll put a few more hundred on the turnstiles. Make it a bit more of a ruckus atmosphere, as it always does, I think, wherever he goes anyway, doesn't it? So, but hopefully it'll just, let's not let it distract it too much, but let's still get behind us. But I think he's, worth a bit of stick, to be fair.
Yeah, we won't talk about it too much, but I think nobody would. I think had he left at the end of the season having achieved promotion with us, he'd have got a nice reception on Saturday. Yeah. But it was the manner in which he left to China via Peterborough and then Gillingham and now Stevenage. And his success rate is, it's not been there, has it? And now Stevenage does seem like a very panicked and buggery, I need a job. And obviously there must be a good Waitrose there because he's got his usual man, Paul Rayner, with him as well. But like somebody said in the comments earlier, Alan, let's bring it back to sense. It's not about him on Saturday. It's about Mansfield Town bouncing back. And that's the one thing we need to do on Saturday is show the support for the current manager, because it's he who is the man that is capable of turning it around, and he, the man who is capable of delivering the dream and picking up and not delivering the broken dreams, like the man who will be in the away dugout on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and how fun is that? Because who was it that wanted all the dugouts bringing over to this side? Because, he said in his words, we weren't giving the away manager enough stick or whatever he said. He'd got an easy ride over the other side. So I think it's come back to bite him on the backside there. But the place it will hurt Steve Evans most, I think he will revel in all the comments and the abuse and whatever he gets. But the place we can hurt him most is at the end of the game when we've won 3-0, 4-0, whatever, and he's got to go home with his head held down and, we've won the game, because that will hit him most.
And probably knowing Stevenage, he'll probably have his P45 at that point as well, because getting rid of Paul Tisdale? Really?
Very surprising.
Wow.
Yeah, I was.
I mean,
didn't expect that.
I was very surprised when he actually went there himself, because there's far better clubs than Stevenage. And I mean that in not a disrespectful way, but in terms of infrastructure and budgets and things like that, in terms of clubs that are going to be competing for a promotion.
I love
Strange
that, by
one.
the way. Yeah, no offence, but I'm going to say something that's offensive.
It's a caveat. It's fine. As long as you say no offence, you can say what you want. That's how it works, right? Get the lawyers on the phone. And if anyone does want to sue me, my name is Cameron Felton. Craig Creek is not here this week. He'll be back next week. Let's move back to all things Mansfield, because, of course, it is Mansfield that matters. Ollie Hawkins, Alan Wilson, there's only one place for him Saturday afternoon, isn't there?
Yeah, I would shove him up front. I would leave Raw, providing that everybody's fit and rearing to go, which they should be, I would have thought. I would leave JJ and Rawson at the back, and I would put Hawkins up front, and I would slot Maris straight back to where he belongs, because like Nigel said about James Perch being the calm new influence, I don't think there's any better calming influence than George Maris, because he's the playmaker. He's the one that makes everybody tick. It's the simple ball. It's the not worrying about where he is, and his headers out of the way are unbelievable. I think that goes unmissed sometimes. I just think George Maris is the key towards being successful.
Yes, I think so as well. I think he's a very influential player in there, to be honest. I think it's all about just getting it right and getting the right balance. We'll talk team selection in a minute. I just want to go to a few of these comments before they disappear from the feed. Chris asks, what was Nigel's body language like when you spoke to him on Tuesday, Craig? Disappointed, frustrated, naturally, but also a little bit ill. So he had his snood on and was a little bit, a little bit tired. But I wouldn't read anything into it. I think you can. What I always get from Nigel Clough is, even when we've won a game and played a team off the park, there are always things we can improve on, and that for me is the sign of a very good manager, because we've seen managers in the past who, when we're on a great run of form and when we're winning games, they come out and they try and galvanise us, and they, try and get us all jolly, and everything's all rosy and bloomy and all love hearts and bright colours and all this. And they ignore the little things like conceding a soft goal. They ignore the little things like passing the ball to a person in the crowd. Mentioning no names, but the entire Mansfield town midfield from Port Vale on Tuesday. And there are those little things which certain managers gloss over. Nigel Clough doesn't do that. You'll often hear him say, give an answer to your question, but then say something like, but I think what we missed tonight, or what we didn't do well tonight, was this, this, and this. And I like that because there's an honesty to him. And even when we've played really, really badly, yes, he'll have certain digs, and he'll say certain things, but he doesn't really go full talk. He doesn't do what I like to call a John Yems of Crawley, who just goes, yeah, we're bad. And just, you've all seen the viral videos of the Crawley manager. He doesn't do that. He gives answers, he gives honest answers, and he's an honest man. And I genuinely believe that we've got a manager that's capable of going in there and picking it up. That's the experience. That's what his team's there for. And sometimes that's why doing post-match interviews aren't always the greatest thing, because you can get that emotion. It can be an emotionally led thing, and I think Nigel does very, very well to stem that and to calm that and give an honest appraisal of what's out there. Tim says a win on Saturday and things will look different again. There are two top teams versus top 10 team matches, so someone will lose out somewhere. Sutton, Tranmere, Northampton, Bristol Rovers, Port Vale, Exeter and Swindon all away from home. Exeter play Port Vale next Tuesday, and Sutton are away. Come on, you Stags. Saturday's not about Steve Evans, says Jamie. It's about us getting 3 points. Absolutely. Roger says solidify. It's actually solidified, which gets a ring of the bell, but I'll let you have it. A question to the three of you, says Roy. Do you think we can get automatic? I'll answer it first, and I'll give a one-word. I won't give a one-word answer. I'll give a short answer. We're capable of it, yes. Will we? Will depend on the next 4 games. Alan Wilson.
Yes.
Would
Simple
you
as that.
Right,
Yeah.
fair play. Fair play. That's why he's here, short and straight to the point. Nathan Edge.
I hope so. I think it'd be incredible if we did. And that sounds a little bit negative in a sense that, I think that's probably an overachievement if we do. I think, when you think where we were, when we started off so bad, we've had to come from really far back, haven't we, to chase to get to where we have done. So we're going to run out of steam at some point, which is maybe what we've got now. But hopefully we'll get our second wind again soon, and climb back up again. But either way, I'm looking forward to the last sort of third of the season.
What interests me looking at the league table is when you look at the sides above us. We've lost 10 games this season from the 34 we've played, 16 wins and 8 draws. But you look at the sides that are in and around the playoffs. Sutton, they've lost 11. Bristol Rovers lost 11. Swindon also lost 10. Tranmere in 4th, lost 11. Northampton in second lost 10 games. Newport in third lost 9. Our problem is we don't tend to draw as many. You look at our draws, we either win or lose games. And I think for me, that is what it's all about. I think it's all about going gung-ho. That's how we lost at Tranmere, because we went for it. We got Ollie Hawkins up top. We scored a goal. We got it to 2-2. We had 8 minutes to go and we were on top. We got caught. We went for it and got caught. Did we sit back and take the point? On reflection, we probably should have done. But then as fans, given the fact that we're unbeaten to that point, we'd have been frustrated that we didn't go for it. Likewise, same at Port Vale to a degree. When it's 2-1, we're still going for it, and then we get caught, and it's 3-1, and that's it. That's why, for me, Nathan, I think that's why I believe that the next 4 games will be pivotal. But I think that's why we will be in and around the mix at the end of the season, because we're not a fence-sitting team. We go for it. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I think as long as we don't end up in a rut of, on a real bad run and confidence goes low. I think as long as we can keep it minimal, like I say, just cut those couple of defeats, if we can bounce back on Saturday in particular, just give us a bit of a boost going into sort of another tough run of fixtures, then I think we'll be all right. It's just about making sure we don't get dragged down into something negative and lowering the confidence. So I agree with you in that sense, and I hope we do carry on the way we were, because Nigel Clough said it, hasn't he, on numerous occasions. We weren't drawing, but if we can go and win games, obviously 3 points is you're better off getting 3 points. How to say it? You know where I'm going with it. You better go 6 points out of 9 rather than 4 out of 9, 5 out of 9 and being unbeaten.
Yeah. It's sooner win 2 and lose 1 than win 1 and draw 2.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And you look at a few weeks ago, Forest Green had lost one game. They've now lost 5. They're in poor form. Bristol Rovers were nowhere near it. They've picked up, whereas Sutton were flying. They've dropped off. It's a very open league, and there's no point sitting and thinking about it and going, it's all over after 2 games. It's not. It's just the pendulum swinging any which way. Had this been with 4 games to go, like I said earlier, I'd be worried. But we've got 12 games left, and I'm not.
I think as well, if you look at the league table, if we weren't up there a couple of weeks ago, and say we've come from the bottom, bit like Bristol Rovers have, and say we're in our position now where we're 4 points off playoffs and whatever, off 6 off automatics and games in hand. If we'd just come up and suddenly appeared there, everyone would be thinking, God, we've got a right good chance here. So it's just because we've dropped out a little bit and we're off the back of 2 defeats. But I think you can't just look at it in that way. You got to remain positive and just look at it. I know it's better to have points on the board, but we've still got a great opportunity. It's still within our own hands.
Yeah, we've had this very quick trajectory, and we've not probably put as much groundwork in as what we needed to. It's almost like getting a great idea for a product, taking it and it being all great and shiny on the outside, taking it to Dragon's Den, and one investor, one of the Dragons, going, "Oh, I quite like that. I think it's a really good idea. It's innovative. I'm in. I'm going to invest. I'm going to put some money into the business." And then another Dragon going, "It's all right. It's not that short." And then all of a sudden, things start to unravel because they found a little nitpick there, and that's what's happened. We found a groove. We found a really good way of playing, and we had a nice little bit of traction to get us up there. But teams worked us out, and now all we've got to do is just find it again. And I think we can find it again. And that leads me nicely onto talking about team selection for Saturday afternoon. Now, earlier on, I showed you my clipboard, and I had, let's have a look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 ways of playing with that starting 11 which Nigel Clough named. And then there was a 5th way, which was the actual way we started. I think we all are going to probably pick Hawkins up front, but what I'm going to ask you both, and then I'll give my opinion at the end, and you guys in the comments as well, if you want to drop yours in there as well, is 2 things. The first, formation. The second, the personnel. And I'm going to start with the man who loves the jingle, it's Mr. Alan Wilson.
I would say 4-4-2. I would like Bishop, McLaughlin, John Joe, Rawson, and Hewitt. If they fit, Quinn, Stirk, Maris, and JJ Longstaff. And then the two up front, Oates and Hawkins. I know I'm leaving Jordan Barry out there, but that's only if Quinn is fit. If Quinn is not fit, put Jordan there because he coincides with what Quinny does, is forwards and backwards, and he works well with Macca.
Nathan Edge.
Our team.
Marek Stacking goal. No, I'm only joking.
Hey, mate, listen, stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
You never know, but I'd be very, very surprised. I mean, I'd be happy with the 4-4-2 with the diamond or going 4-3-3. But if I'm gonna stick my neck out, I'll say the 4-4-2 diamond. For me, I'd have Perch on the bench at the minute, just simply because I think Hewitt deserves to keep his right back slot. Rawson and John Joe in the middle, and obviously Macca on the left. Midfield, Stirk, Maris, Longstaff, and Quinn if he's fit, or even Lapsley in there, and up top the two Oates and Hawkins. But if I was going to go with a three, I would put Barry on that left. So, but that would be my team, which is very similar to what it was a few weeks ago when we were on form, but maybe just throwing in Longstaff.
Roger says
instead of Clark.
Yeah, don't mention where you want to put him. Roger says Bish, O'Toole, Faz, Macca, Hewitt. Love the sound effect. Quinn, Longstaff, Maris and Stirk, Bowery and Oates. Tim says 4-4-2 Diamond, Bishop, Hewitt, Perch. Who's O'Neill?
I don't know.
Bringing back Luke O'Neill.
Is he on a free?
We've missed some transfer news, lads.
I think I'm going to read between the lines and go with O'Toole. Is that all right? Is that all right with you two? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what he's alluded to. Yeah, it's probably just a typing error.
Yeah, he's put John Joe. Yeah, John Joe. Oh, I wonder if he's going with Clive's gag. Wasn't there a John Joe O'Neill or something which Clive came up with at some point? I can't remember.
Bishop, John Joe. Yeah,
Bishop, Perch, O'Toole, McLaughlin, Stirk, Maris, Longstaff, Quinn, Oates, and Hawkins. Roger says, I want Hawkins instead of Bowery. Chris says, I agree with Alan. Longstaff feeding off scraps from Oates and Hawkins for a double. Yeah, of course, Longstaff 3 goals in 3 games. It's a tough one for me. It's a very, very tough one for me. I think I might have to mix it up a bit. Can I choose 2? Can I choose 2 ways?
Now you've only got one, Craig. But... We didn't get 2 as a choice. You're the gaffer. You can do what you like. You're the gaffer.
Don't tell him that, because he's already been trying to fix up the podcast prediction game, isn't it?
Yeah, look how badly that went. Oh, God. Do you know, I'm going to stick with the back 4, and then I'll figure the rest out afterwards.
Pick one and stick to it, Craig.
I'm going to go with, obviously, Bishop in goal. Back 4 of Hewitt, Rawson, Perch, McLaughlin.
Oh.
Nobody thought about Rawson and Perch.
Well, I did, but I want John Joe back there.
Well, this is where it differs for me. Then I'm going to go with 4-1-3-2. Right. So then I'm gonna sit O'Toole in front of the back 4 to be able to drop into a back 3 when we're on the attack to push McLaughlin and Hewitt up as wing backs. See, adaptability, kids.
He's literally got his football manager up in the corner.
I've not had a game of football manager for about 4 hours. So then I'm going. Back 4: Hewitt, Rawson, Perch, McLaughlin, O'Toole in front of the back 4. Then I'm going with a midfield of Lapsley, Longstaff, and then depending on who's fit, Quinn or Stirk. I think Stirk's had a couple of off games lately in the last couple of games or so. And obviously, no win, no Quinn is a thing. So we need to get Quinn back in there and Quinn will play. So if Quinn's fit, it's Quinn. If it's not, it's Stirk. And then I'm going, obviously, up top, I'm going Hawkins and Oates. Again, I've left Bowery out, but I've,
And Maris.
And Maris, yeah. And
Who's
yeah,
going to be Captain
Gutted.
Fantastic? Because everybody's left Clough out. I don't know why, but everyone has.
Who's going to be captain? There's one choice
Ollie
for
Hawkins.
captain in that
Macca.
side. No,
Macca for me.
no. It's the man who wears the best number in town, James Perch.
14.
Calm, cool, collected, captain, leader, legend.
Yeah, fair comment, but I would
Get him
give it Macca.
Get him back in the side. Get him back with the arm. Get him back the armband. See, when I don't know. I like Perch as a captain. Cool, calm, collected. I like a centre half as a captain. I'm old school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my call is going to be to put JJ in front of there to sit in front of the back four. Let's not forget he is actually a midfielder by trade, and he can drop into centre half and allow the two to push up and push on. Roger says O'Toole for captain for me. Captain's armband, like I say every week, is a box ticking exercise. But that's my 11. I've missed a couple of players out of there. Probably will be criticised for it because I've left Longstaff out, I've left Maris out, I've left Bowery out. But all players which you look at to come off the bench and to make an impact. So
it's the strongest bench ever, isn't it? It's the strongest bench, whichever way you look at it, we've ever had.
It is. And my team selection, by the way, is completely based on Murphy and Akins being fit as well, because actually they wouldn't get in my starting 11. I respect them both. I think they're both quality players. But imagine those two coming off the bench. Imagine being 2-0 up on the hour, and then you see those two coming on. If you're a Stevenage player struggling at the bottom of the league, you turn to that bench and look. And your first thought is, Jesus Christ, that's our manager. And then your second thought is, Jesus Christ, these two are coming on.
And
no even mentioning Danny Johnson as well.
Yeah.
And he's on that bench
DJ.
Too.
Interesting one, Danny Johnson, isn't it? I think that's probably a discussion for off air at another time. But there you go. Right, let's move swiftly on because we are running out of time, and I can hear the smoke alarm going off, so that means that food is nearly ready. So we are going to go for podcast predictions. Now, I'm going to put my hands up and apologise because those who are long-time viewers of this show will know... Play? You going to play? And I've made a bit of a categorical error in the last game. Now, my lucky blue hat and all of that stuff went out of the window when we lost at Tranmere. So I've got rid of them. But one little superstition for me was doing it game by game on podcast predictions. But what did I do before these two games, Nathan Edge? What did I do?
I've no idea because I've literally been in my own world, so it's going to be news to me as well.
Oh, yeah. So I wonder why I didn't get criticised, actually. Yeah, because you weren't here. What did I do, Alan Wilson? What did I do?
He said to you, you've got to pick the scorers for 2 games and the result for 2 games and where Mansfield would be finishing in the table. And there was a triple point, if you got it right. And there was halving of the points if you didn't get it correct.
Now, obviously, Nathan,
right?
Yeah, and Nathan didn't know about that, which meant Nathan did it normally, which meant that Nathan, being Nathan, came out with normal points and has done better than what we all did.
Well done, Nathan.
10th as well. I mean,
yeah, I know. I mean, we'll come on to something you said on Tuesday in a minute, because you think you're getting away with that, you're definitely not. But yeah, I decided to go with 2 games and put 2 games in one and try and mix it up a little bit. And it backfired, didn't it? Because we ended up losing. I got a little bit too cocky, a little bit too carried away. So we're reverting back to type and doing it game by game. We'll have podcast predictions again on the Sunday sermon ahead of the Rochdale game. But our predictions for last time, I ended up, if we didn't have the triple point promotion thing in there, I'd have got no points. Clive would have got 1 point, but he ended up with half a point. Cam would have, Alan, you would have got half a point. You got half a point, whereas you would have got 1 point. So would Cam. And it's totally messed the table up, Nathan, to be honest. And I'm going to reveal the top 10 for you. So in 10th place, clinging on, your brother Ricky is still there on 15. Roger in 9th on 22. And then this is where the OCD amongst you will go a little bit dodgy. 22.5 points, Cam. 22.5 points, Alan. 35.5 points, Steve Nadin. Nick in 5th on 39.5 points. Then I've dropped out of the top 3 again by half a bloody point. I'm on 41 points. Steve is in third on 41.5. Clive is in second on 41.5. And Nathan, by virtue of the fact that he didn't do the triple point table prediction teaser point crap, which I came up with, got a point for predicting a loss. But Nathan also put in the prediction that Matty Longstaff would score, and then a certain Nathan Edge decided that after he'd seen the team news, he wanted to change his prediction. That is not how it happens, Nathan Edge. And
it's just a little bit of banter. That's all it was.
It was a quality comment, though.
The thing is, it's not the first time you've tried it, though, is it?
I mean, I've never tried to do it for real, unlike Mr. Clive Parkin. Just saying.
Ooh.
Shots fired. Shots fired. I mean, that is right. I'll give you a verbal warning. If it happens again, there will be a yellow card, and I may have to look at a points deduction of around. What's going to get me
so I'm below you.
of around 10 points, just to open up the gap.
I mean, I should get an extra point because this whole triple crappy blah 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 whatever it is was just a way to try and stitch me up, and it backfired. So
yeah, but
I was away on holiday, and I wasn't even paying proper attention to anything. So
look, I still
gained a point.
I put it in the group chat. It's not my fault that you were too busy having sun cream rubbed into your privates that you didn't pay attention. It's not my fault. Right, podcast prediction.
I'm not even going there. Never mind. Carry on. I wasn't a nudist. Anyway, carry on.
No comment. Right, Nathan, come on. You're the leader of the pack. Predict for me Saturday's game against Stevenage.
2-0.
Are you going Stevenage 2-0? Because
obviously not, because we're at home. So 2-0 is Mansfield 2, Stevenage 0.
Yeah, Reece
Oates and good old Macca. Free kick. Smash it in the top. He's a right legend. I love him.
Alan, you're next.
3-0 Mansfield. Oates, Hawkins, and I think Barry will come on in the second half and put one in.
You were very, very close to matching Cam's prediction. He's messaged me and said 3-0 win. Oates, Hawkins, and Stirk. Clive has gone bold. He's gone for a 4-0 win. Oates, Quinn, Hawkins, and Lapsley. I am going to err on the side of caution, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. And I am going to go with Reece Oates to get on the score sheet. And back up top, back in the goals, Ollie Hawkins is going to be mine. If you want to play along with podcast predictions, then make sure you see the link in the description, because, Nathan Edge, you have to do what?
Submit it 1 hour and 1 minute prior to kickoff via the link.
Via the link, absolutely right. Before we end in the usual way by playing the highlights, lowlights from Tuesday night, one exciting bit of news to tell you about, and it is this: the return of Stags Stories. Yes, 20 years ago, Mansfield Town did achieve what we're trying to do at the moment, and that is get promotion out of this division, led by Stuart Watkiss, the manager at the time, who we've had on Stag Stories in the Memory Lane series in the past. He took us to promotion, and we're going to be reuniting some of those stars. Andy White will be joining me as a co-presenter, and we've got some great names coming up to recall their stories. People from on the pitch, people from off the pitch, and some old familiar faces as well. We'll reveal more details of the series when it comes out, but we're hoping it will be in the next couple of weeks or so. If you're a local business, Stag supporting business that wants to get behind this, not only is this going to go on the Mansfield Matters feeds as well, we are going to be teaming up with 103.2 as well to share these programs. So some great opportunity for some exposure for you. If you want to get involved, drop us a little DM on Facebook or on Twitter, and we'll tell you a little bit more about the series. More on that when it comes, but recording starts for these next week. Right, that's all we've got time for. Simple question to you both: can Mansfield Town bounce back on Saturday at home to Steve Evans' Stevenage? Nathan Edge?
Yes.
Alan Wilson?
Definitely.
100 million%. Probably. Hopefully. Definitely? I think that's enough. I hope so, yeah. I think that's enough fence sitting. Right, let's reflect on all things Port Vale and, of course, say good night. Have a fantastic rest of the night. We'll see you both on Saturday, where the Stags look to extend their home form. 10 straight wins in Sky Bet League 2. Can they make it 11 and set a new club record and bounce back from this? Here's the tale of Port Vale told by Lee Wilson alongside myself for Mansfield 103.2.
Good evening and welcome to Vale Park, where tonight Mansfield Town come looking to bounce back after losing their first game in 14 matches on Friday at Tranmere Rovers. Nigel Clough has shuffled the pack. He makes 4 changes to the side, which fell to that late 3-2 defeat. Ollie Clark, the captain, is back alongside James Perch, George Lapsley and Kieran Wallace, who completes the 4 coming in. The quartet going out: Elliot Hewitt, Matty Longstaff, Stephen Quinn and Lucas Akins, the latter 3, all out of the 18 tonight, and we believe all with injuries. The Stags could line up in one of about 7,432 ways, but this is the way that we're predicting the Stags will line up tonight. Nathan Bishop in goal, a back 4 right to left of James Perch, Farron Rawson, Ollie Hawkins and Stephen McLaughlin, a midfield of George Lapsley, Ollie Clark, Ryan Stirk and Kieran Wallace, with Jamie Murphy in just behind Rhys Oates. On the bench for the Stags: Elliot Hewitt, Jordan Bowery, George Maris, Danny Johnson, Jason Law, John Joe O'Toole and the goalkeeper Marek Steck. Again, it's Tom Pett, the captain, who tries to play a ball forward, cut out well by Kieran Wallace, launched it long for Rhys Oates, and can Oates turn his man? He can. Rhys Oates is 1-1 with Aylestone. Here's Oates open the scoring, Brownstone. Yeah! It's the back of the net. Rhys Oates opens the scoring for Mansfield Town on 21 minutes. A ball over the top by Kieran Wallace. Oates kept his composure. Stone came out. Oates knocked it around him and rolled it into the open goal. Port Vale 0, Mansfield Town 1.
Kieran Wallace, absolutely tremendous. He's shielding that back 4. They've tried to put a ball in between the centre halves. He's cut it out, and like we say, cost the both. We talked about the centre halves pushing on because they're marking 1. They pushed on. He left him 1-on-1. He put a ball in behind and rode in his pace. Brilliant running. Stayed on his feet again. Could quite easily have gone down and got the guy sent off, but brilliant. Took it round the keeper and slotted home lovely.
Port Vale looking to come through the minutes. A neat little pass, and now the number 9 of Wilson could be on a goal. He shoots past Bishop, and it's gone underneath Nathan Bishop. And Port Vale are back in the game. It was a pass through the middle from Ben Garrity, which unlocked Mansfield, and James Wilson, the number 9, to the left of the area, hit the ball well. Bishop got a touch on it, but he makes it. Port Vale 1, Mansfield Town 1 on 33 minutes.
Absolutely shocking. You know, Nathan Bishop, we give all the plaudits to him. He will be absolutely mortified he's let that goal in. That was one of the easiest saves he'll get this season. Bread and butter to him, and it's just gone through his hands. You know, but it's all over. It's just, we've got to do better. You know, we forced him out wide. He's got to save it. It's not an hard save. It's got in the middle of the goal from 25 yards. He's got to save it, and it's a poor goal again from Mansfield to concede, and he'll be very, very disappointed with that.
Vale will get it back through Benning on that touchline, delivers his way forward. Benning in towards the area, headed away this time by Wallace. Stirk can't complete the clearance, and again Vale come forward. O'Toole has left his man on side, and Vale are in the area. Bishop's come out, made himself big. The ball's still really loose. Vale have scored. He's turning towards the back of the net. Mansfield Town all over the place at the back. They didn't deal with it, and the Vale man has scored. It's the number 24, the substitute Harriet, who's just come off the bench, who makes it Port Vale 2, Mansfield Town 1, and it's a catalogue of errors.
You know, we had 3 players going for the ball there, and they've all just got in each other's way. It's fell down. It's a good save from Bishop, and it fell back to him, but you know, it's devastating because we got back into this game, and it's devastating. It's a poor goal. It's a poor goal from Mansfield.
In comes Benning's free kick deep towards the far post. Proctor puts it back in. It's a free shot. It's turned home. Mansfield carved apart. It's game over. And I think it's that man again who's managed to turn the ball home. Harrah off the bench. Mansfield didn't deal with it. That's poor. And it's a second successive defeat for Mansfield Town. Port Vale 3, Mansfield Town 1. What is happening to this Mansfield Town side?
So a second successive defeat for Nigel Clough's men on the road, but back on home soil tomorrow against Stevenage and their new manager Steve Evans. It's a huge opportunity to bounce back and put things right, something Mansfield Town certainly need to do if they want to achieve their promotion ambitions. Nothing is won or lost with 12 games to go, but a win over Stevenage would certainly set the mindset right and give us that boost of confidence which we so desperately need at the moment. Will Ollie Hawkins start up front? Will James Perch stay in the side? And will John Joe O'Toole get back in following his suspension and his substitution onto the pitch on Tuesday night at Port Vale? If you can't get to One Call Stadium on Saturday, make sure you tune in to Mansfield 103.2 from 1 p.m. Extensive updates from One Call Stadium. Lee Wilson back alongside me. And then, of course, join us on Sunday for another Sunday sermon as we reflect on all things Stevenage and look ahead to a trip to Rochdale. 12 games to go, it's all still to play for. Don't lose faith just yet. 2 defeats do not define a season, but it's only us that can ensure that statement comes true. Thanks as always for listening, for commenting, for sharing. Make sure you check out more on our social media pages, MTFC Matters on Twitter and on Facebook. Some exciting stuff coming up very soon indeed, including the return of a certain Stags Stories series. For now though, this is the show for the fans by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Get to One Call Stadium on Saturday, support the boys, and let's get back on track. Come on, you Stags!